So as far as the writing process goes then for you, is it a pleasant experience? You're nodding your head. Yes, it is a pleasant experience.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
It's my favorite kind of work. It's the hardest work. It's never not motivating to me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, we don't have that in common because I find writing to be incredibly difficult and unpleasant almost all the time.
There has got to be more than this.
Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name's Korby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. Just a quick note to say the Morse Code Podcast is having its first ever live show to celebrate 6 months of steady, constant, faithful, inspiring, transcendent episodes. Wow, we're doing it, guys. Mark Sunday, April 14th on your calendars for our live 6-month celebration at the 5 Spot in East Nashville. We'll announce more details soon, but it's gonna be wild. Okay, I'm really excited to share this conversation with best-selling collaborative writer Shannon Lee Miller. Shannon's book projects have gone on to become national bestsellers, received starred reviews from renowned literary magazines, and garnered praise from celebrated authors including Elizabeth Gilbert, Glennon Doyle, and Cheryl Strayed. That's some good company there. I've known Shannon for 15 years, from an earlier chapter in her creative life when she was a Nashville singer-songwriter. Years ago, she pivoted into creative writing, started a family, and today, she's a great example of how a person can integrate a creative path into a lifestyle that works for them. If you get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, please like and subscribe. And now, here's my conversation with Shannon Lee Miller. Shannon Lee Miller.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for being part of this expedition into the unknown. We met, let's just jump into it. Okay. We met in a previous iteration of your life, which was as in your capacity as a singer-songwriter. Is that fair to say?
That is fair.
And that was been probably 15 years ago.
Probably
just a bunch of
years
us
ago.
Yeah. That was when I first moved to town, roughly. It was when Jeremy Lister was killing it. Then Katie had all those syncs, Katie Herzig.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we met. And then I didn't meet you for a very long time. And in that, then we met again 8 years ago.
I think so.
I came over and played music for you and Buck and the kids.
Yes.
And I don't even know why that happened.
Because you're a kind man.
No.
Yeah.
Why did you invite me over? Or I probably invited myself over.
You did.
Me.
It was very sweet. Little Hudson.
Yes.
Loves music. And I think you had seen a video of him maybe dancing a little bit. And you're like, I'm going to come play music for this kid who loves music. And he freaked out. And it was snowy and Christmassy and wonderful.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
And I also remember, I've told people about this experience a couple of times, just because it made an impression on me, but Edie?
Oh, Everly.
Everly. I'm so sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
We'll
Edie's great. If I have another one, it's
It'll be
Edie
number 4.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, that won't happen.
So Everly and Hudson, and your third child is Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all 3 kids were there, and I was just like, "Hey, cool. Should I play some kid songs? Because I know some kid songs. I'm used to, I play for all kinds of audiences.
You'll do some Puff the Magic Dragon.
I'm not proud. And you guys were like, no, they just like music. I'm like, okay. And so I played a song that I would play for anybody, and watching Everly's face while I played. Her little face, she was probably 8, maybe not, I don't even think 8.
Little,
maybe,
she would have been little.
It just crumpled into this just feeling of love and it was just so precious and childish, and yet also something else there. There was the promise of future trouble.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
she's made good on that promise.
I called it.
But she actually just got her first guitar. So that has been very interesting. We're only teaching her minor chords. So I'm hoping for some kind of
Are you being
very
serious about that?
No, she'll learn. She's got a G. She'll be fine.
She got a G.
But yeah, it's very sweet to see her relationship with music evolve, and my relationship with music now kind of on the other side of singer-songwriter land.
Yes. Okay, so let's get back to that.
Let's get back to
How
it.
did you pivot? What prompted you to do that? Because now, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but right now I know you as a writer, a ghost writer, a collaborative writer. You have a bunch of other projects under the writing umbrella.
Yes.
We'll get into that. But how did you and why did you make the shift?
I got a publishing deal and came down here to write. So it was kind of just my first writing job.
A music publishing deal.
Yes.
That's what brought you from
Canada,
the
from
northern
Toronto.
country.
Yes. And I, never wanted to turn down what felt like a wild opportunity. I was like, well, I definitely need to do this. But I knew I loved to write and I loved to play music, but I didn't know very much about what I wanted to write. And I mean that in all form. Like I didn't know whether I wanted to write music or write for a newspaper or write, the copy on the Cholula bottle or whatever. And I loved all of it. And I had a really, really hard time with performing. That was something that I just never really enjoyed. It felt like kind of part of the package and, push through and figure it out. But there was something that just felt so fundamentally wrong about it to me. And I really had to lean hard on alcohol and partying just to even do it. So I kind of said, this isn't going to be a healthy way for me to live my life.
How long were you in this game before that realization?
I would say about maybe 4 or 5 years. When I started in music in Canada, I had just started playing and it kind of got to playing clubs in the city really fast and opening for bigger artists really fast. And I was not prepared as a human being in any way for that.
Were you like 18, 19, 20?
Yeah, about 20 maybe.
Yeah.
19 or 20. I didn't know myself at all and I was trying to find myself there. And I think when you're a kid, famous equals good, famous equals right. That is the dream you are supposed to have. And I got there and it wasn't mine, So I stepped away and sort of started playing music with friends a little bit just to try and enjoy it. And do you remember Asher, who used to be in MODOK at all?
Yeah, I do.
So one day he's sitting in my friend Ashley's house and he's just playing and I started singing with him. And I just remember feeling this like profound love for other people's voices and the way that my voice fit into, to that world and into their experience.
And it's like a supportive capacity?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I just remember feeling so much love in that moment and so much purpose. So I kind of decided after that point, I had to find a way to work with other people. And writing was my only skill. Pi is not taking off. So
Yet.
Not yet. So I wanted to find a way to do that. And eventually, I just started helping friends with the most simple writing you could imagine, their websites and stuff like that. And eventually someone asked me about a book proposal and how to do it. And I had no idea how to do it, but I looked it up online and then I said, let's go.
Wow.
And I have not left Bookland since.
Okay, we're about to jump into Bookland.
Okay.
But why? One quick question is that there's a lot of people who play music. You're not the first person to ever not enjoy performing, but who was still a really creative person.
Yes.
And some of those people kind of veer off and songwrite for others, and that's their thing. And that didn't seem to be like interesting to you.
It wasn't super interesting.
Clearly, in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I would have been all right. But I think for me, the lifestyle itself was so unhealthy.
Lifestyle is rough.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to human yet. And so I just, I've really thought about what I wanted to write and where I felt like I was telling the most truth. And it was not through music for me. At the time as well, Music Row was really Music Row. And it was like, real bro dog country.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about our boats and our trucks and our very small town. The town is never medium sized. And it
still isn't. It hasn't grown.
I know it hasn't grown at all. How do they do it?
Well, I can so relate to that. And I think part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you was because I too have a background in music and a present ground in music. But I have never felt at home in the scene, and partly because I love reading and I like things that I don't think are, well, I don't want to say what musicians are and aren't interested in, but I've never, I can say like for sure, I've never really been good at or interested in the backstage hang or the things that you sort of do when you're playing that game. I didn't play that part of the game very well, and so I can relate to that thing that you said about the lifestyle not being a great fit, because it is it's toxic to long-term health in every iteration, I feel like, whereas books are wildly exciting to me, and also something you can do first thing in the morning by yourself. And you can and also they require a certain amount of rhythm, internal, in routine. They thrive in routine, and has boded well, especially like as I've gotten older. When I was young, I could put up with a lot more, but when I'm old, you have to pick you have to choose, you have to prioritize a lot more, because time is a lot more valuable and shorter, and that aspect of the book world has been really inviting and productive and a positive experience for me. And it sounds like maybe for you too. Is that fair to say?
Oh my gosh. Yes. 5 stars. Love book world. I love book world. Yes, I do love it. I love being home. I love the quiet. I love communicating through writing. It's much easier for me than even just sitting and having a conversation. And even as we talk, I can see the words in my head. So it's
why do you think that is, if we just like play with that for a second? Because I can relate. But
really?
Yeah. Why?
Good. I don't know exactly why that is, but from the time even I was a little kid, I found it really, really hard to sort myself out speaking. And I would always need to sit down and, just try to like get to my feelings. It was the only way there for me for a long time. And maybe in a lot of ways, I think it still is. At least it's the most coherent route for me. But yeah, I think it's just, I'm not expressive in that way. I don't necessarily, I want to be heard but not seen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and also you can be very clear about what you want to share with somebody when you write, because you can. I notice this about everything that I do creatively. One of the things that's most terrifying thing in the world to me is improv of any kind.
Oh my gosh!
And I will do it.
I can't even hear the word.
If I have to. Okay. So more common ground. I love it. Yeah. I mean, like the few times in acting in particular acting is terrifying in general, but like to improv in front of people is the most uncomfortable I think I could ever be. And musically, like I have some facility on the guitar, and I can do it. And I'm not good at it, but what I am good at,
I think you're quite good.
But well, thank you, very, very kind. Behind closed doors, and this is everything for me. Behind closed doors, sitting there and trying all kinds of stuff. I'll make a fool of myself to myself, and I'll give myself endless amounts of time to just hammer away at something that on a gut instinct. And then when the thing is done and I've decided, okay, it is worthy of public appearance, then the curtains part and I share the thing. Maybe it's a song or a story, a book, and like that. So I can, for me, the writing is the writing part of it is that being behind closed doors, and I don't know what I think until I write it. I really don't, and then so when I write it, I discover what I think. And it's just mumble jumbo, and it's terrible, and it's not good, and it has no style, and it takes too long to get to the point. Every mistake you can make in communication happens for me.
Same.
In writing. And then the edit, you clean it all up, and it looks really nice, and you're like, I think that's about as good as, that's pretty good for me. And then that's when I can share it. So I didn't mean, this is supposed to be about you, but
no, I love
relating.
This is great. It's very similar. I mean, I do the same thing. I like to really work on it. I don't like it to leave the nest until it's ready. And if I am doing something like if I'm playing and singing at home and like someone was to walk in the room while I was doing my thing, a child, someone who I birthed, I would just, I melt. Like, it's like, don't look at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, especially with that transition from music, I realized I was really suffering for my art. And I don't think that's a thing that people need to do. And in a lot of cases, I don't think that they should do it. You know, I think people have made great art, not because of suffering, but in spite of it, largely. And yeah, I think it's great when something feels comfortable. I think that's a blessing to find, you know, a room in your house that you can sit and do the first draft and polish and have that safe space.
So this is conversation is going a little bit non-linear, but that's okay. So we're just going in it. So as far as the writing process goes, then for you, is it a pleasant experience? Is it, because you said it doesn't have to be torture, and so you're nodding your head. Yes, it is a pleasant experience.
It's wonderful. Okay. It's my favorite kind of work. It's the hardest work. It's never not motivating to me. I want to make it good so bad.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a pretty even keel kind of person, but when I'm so passionate about whatever project I have, like I want it to be good with all of me. And that's something that I, you know, will do anything to preserve that sense of excitement. Whether that means, you know, taking a break from it for a minute. If it does start to feel bad, I want to come to it and be able to be 100% loyal to the work.
Wow. Well, we don't have that in common, because I find writing to be incredibly difficult and unpleasant almost all the time.
But we both hate improv, so.
Yes, totally. Okay, so you pivoted, you're writing CD liner notes, whatever, helping out friends.
Yes.
There was a supportive capacity that was a clue moving forward at a key moment. And then you wrote your first book proposal, not knowing how to do it.
Not knowing.
And it worked?
It worked great. Everyone was shocked, I think.
Yeah.
But it worked. And I got to work on the full manuscript. It was a memoir. And we just kind of dove in together, really grateful for somebody to have faith in me, being a total noob. And after that, you know, you build a network of people, friends tell friends. You start to find agents that you like to work with and publishers that you like to work with. And I've been really lucky that after that one book proposal, that one book, they've kept rolling in.
And so is that the principal avenue of expression and or income for you? Is it ghostwriting? Is it collaborative writing? How would you describe it?
I want to describe it as collaborative writing.
Then let's do that.
Yes. I do occasionally ghostwrite, but I really love to be in the process with someone. And I think it's always better that way.
And what does that look like?
Well, it looks different every time, of course. We get together in person if we can, or online. But I also try my best to find somebody's most comfortable means of telling their story and helping them get there. So for some people, maybe they've journaled and I can take a look at that stuff. For others, they're really great at talking. So they can go out on a walk and answer prompts that I might have, or just meditate on whatever they're doing.
Like, will you go out and walk together and just talk?
I would
or do they
love that. It hasn't happened. Still waiting one day. But they'll record themselves. And sometimes they listen back and they're like, oh my gosh, I am good at writing. I'm like, yes, this is writing too. You know, this is storytelling. And a lot of people think they can't do it, and they're so much better than they believe they are. So I've found getting them to see that super duper rewarding.
That's my dry cleaning, I think.
You have dry cleaning?
Well, I'm going to Sundance tomorrow, so
everything's
getting a little spiffy. Okay, so you like to collaborate, and people will, and that looks like a bunch of different things.
Yes.
And what would be the timeline? I know nothing about this world, and I even tried to know a little bit about it when I called you several months ago, because I was faced with an interesting opportunity, and I had no idea how to. There were several ways I could move forward with it. That's a story for another time. But you told me really thoroughly how one might go about writing a book proposal, and I was just like, oh my God, you're like, you can do it in your sleep. 20,000 words is no problem. And I'm like, 20,000 words in my sleep. I don't know. That's a long sleep. But so when somebody approaches you to like write, they approach you. You're not really pitching yourself.
No, not at this point. I'd be really bad at it as well. I would not hire me based on my pitch of myself.
Fair enough. But so someone comes to you, Shannon, I would love to collaborate with you on a book. And then what is the next step?
It depends if this is somebody who depends what kind of book they're going to write. If they have support, if they have a publishing deal already, or if they have an agent already. For nonfiction writers, generally speaking, your book proposal is your first step to all of those places to get an agent, to get a publishing deal. Unless you want to self-publish or work with a hybrid publisher, which you don't always need a proposal for that. And the proposal is an outline of your book, a bit about your story, a bit about how you would market yourself and promote the project once it came out, and some sample chapters. So once you've written that, writing the actual book is easy.
You've done most of the work.
Yes.
And you also
it's much easier than pie.
Don't tell the writers. The bakers are way ahead of you. It's okay. So someone writes you would write the proposal. You would submit it to, depending on the way forward. And if somebody wanted to go to the more traditional publisher's route, they would submit it. You would submit it to several publishers. There would be a third party doing the submitting. Which
I don't typically submit author stuff. I think it's more genuine when they, do
it themselves.
Yeah,
for sure.
She says that she's like, I wrote half the book, but I think that it's important for them to find that connection, someone that they want to work with, that they feel like would represent them well. So they would send their proposal along with a query letter, which is a little, hi, I'm Korby. This is my book. This is what it's about. Like just the elevator pitch. And then from that point, they might find an agent and go on to publishing houses together.
And what would the timeline be on like that, for that between from when you'd finish the proposal, hand it back to the author and say, go get him, Tiger, to, okay, we got a green light. We're finishing this book.
Depends on a lot of things. And for the fiction writers, they have a totally different path as well, which
let's do them
mentioning.
In a second, because I am curious.
Okay. So your nonfiction writer has submitted their proposal. They got a publishing deal. Yay! It normally takes, I would say, 6 to 9 months to write the book. It can take longer, but that book isn't coming out for at least 2 years. And that is now a real drawback for some authors to submit to a traditional publisher. It's just knowing that this book that they've been waiting their whole life to write, they're going to have to wait, 2 or 3 more years before it's out in the world.
Yeah. I mean, life looks potentially much different in 2 years.
It does. Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yes. So I'm finding that now a lot more of my nonfiction writers, especially those with a platform, are, they're choosing to go with a hybrid publisher or choosing to self-publish. And that turnaround time looks a lot more like 6 months from the time the manuscript's finished.
And the trade-off with that is the onus of marketing falls more squarely on the shoulders of the author.
Yes and no.
Tell me more.
Yes and no. There are a lot of really interesting publishing models now where you can hook up with a hybrid publisher who acts more as a partner. So they'll have those support services for you. You're still very likely at the end of the day going to own your work, which is huge in case it ever gets licensed, wants to become a film, wants a line of toys or whatever if you're a children's book author. So a lot more people are saying, I'd like to own my masters, for lack of of a better word, and keep control of that. But the traditional publishing world has experience and prestige, not necessarily better support services either, in my experience. A lot of times the author is still slugging it out.
I mean, that's what I understand. People that work in publishing, in the trad publishing world, is not a lot of attention paid. Yeah. And that's because it's so hard to make any money in the publishing game, even for established publishing outfits. I also hazard, and I say this from the outside because I don't know your world as well as I hope to someday, but the cred that comes with a traditional publisher like Harper Row or something like that, I don't think that's as important as it used to be. Like there used to be a lot more of a stigma around self-publishing or hybrid publishing, and I don't. My feeling is that that's not really the case. Yeah,
it's changing, and I'm glad it's changing. I think it's wonderful that more people have access to this work. Mm-hmm. And I also think it will help traditional publishing sort itself out a little bit and decide, okay, well, am I going to just pick up this celebrity memoir, or am I going to work with someone who's really passionate, who has a great, interesting story, who we are going to have to market ourselves? Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that eventually, that experience you hope for with the traditional publisher will change as well. Mm-hmm. I think there's room for every avenue for sure.
I mean, inevitably it's going to change some.
Yeah.
But I can also see there always being a place for a celebrity memoir because it kind of sells itself.
It does.
Okay, so that was nonfiction.
Yes.
Let's talk about fiction for a second. So if you're going to collab with somebody on fiction, that seems like a completely different thing.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah, you have to write your entire manuscript before you submit it to anyone.
The whole deal.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no prospectus. There's no pitch. There's no, here's what I'm thinking where it's going to go.
Yeah, you got to know all the nitty gritty. Yes.
Do you want it or not?
Yes.
And so when someone comes, so you've collaborated on
I've done some fiction stuff. Yes.
Well, which do you like better, or if?
I think I like nonfiction better. I love memoir. Mm-hmm. I think it's the collaboration experience there. It's normally, someone's life story, so it can be really healing for them, and then that makes me all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I mean, it's just a different muscle entirely.
Yeah.
Inventing a world and a character and a story and a plot. And so when you've done that, that looked like a person coming to you saying, "Hey, Shannon, I've got an idea for a book." Or is it more like, "Hey, Shannon, I've got this manuscript, or I've got the first 3 chapters of this and I'm thinking it could go here, but I just need somebody to walk with me." Mm-hmm. Or it's different every time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Give me an example of some range.
Well, there are people that have just wanted to write a book, and I think that's a terrible reason to write a book. And no one should ever do it, because it is really, really, it's really hard. Yes. It is not simple, and especially in a world like fiction where literally anything's possible. Everything's possible. Mm-hmm. Nailing down what will feel fulfilling for that person is a tough test. But a lot of times someone will come to me with, I loved this book. I want to write a book like ABC. And then we can start to kind of talk about the thematic, meat of that. And that's normally where I would start is, what do you want the reader to walk away with? Mm-hmm. Not so much, how do you want to get there with the reader? And then we work backwards to plot normally. Wild. It is wild.
I like what you said a second ago about it's harder to know what will be fulfilling to that person with a work of fiction. And I think that is such an important boundary, or that term is so important to identify regardless of the creative endeavor for every single person. Like what does the finish line look like? How will I know that I did good?
Yeah.
What it could be, because if you don't define that, you'll never feel like you did good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I mean, I've learned that the hard way in music, and I'm kind of on the other side of it in a way, because I finally was like, oh, I am doing it. I have succeeded. I am succeeding. This is me succeeding.
Yes.
I wake up every day and I do a variation of what I want to do in the world. Like, it's pretty close to my ideal way to spend my time. And like, that's a win. And before I was like, I want to be on a tour bus with a band and play 100 dates a year and make X, whatever it was. Those things are a lot more fraught. And I think once one reaches those golden rings, you find that there's nothing there.
It's painted gold.
It's painted gold. Yes.
Yeah.
But so I would think that would go for memoir writing or for fiction writing, and I also hazard to think that perhaps with the nonfiction capacity, the satisfaction is easier to define and maybe even more intuitive in a way, because it's like, I want to tell my story for like a memoir. I want to tell my story in an engaging way that's truthful to me as I understand myself. And then you can reach the end of that and you have done that.
Yes.
And then maybe this, whatever it sells or something is sort of icing on the cake, but you've really met a hugely fulfilling goal in making a memoir. Whereas if you're like, I want to write a thriller that sells 50 million copies.
Yeah.
Well, you probably can write a thriller, but you're playing a very difficult game with a lot of people that are playing the same game.
I mean, don't write a book to sell a book ever. I don't think either. You know,
don't make a piece of art to sell a piece of art. I just think that's not advice that many people, I think, in this town perhaps would adhere to, but I think it's good advice. Okay, well, talk to me about your daily writing habits. When you're in the zone, you're working on a book. Do you write at the same time every day? Do you have the same spot that you write in? You're also a mother of 3, so that's a lot going on in your world outside of the written word.
Yes. I'm developing better writing habits. I have not had them very well. It's felt, very long. But I just got a home office. So that having a separate space is great. For the first several years of my career, I would go to Buckley's side of the bed. That was my office. I would wake up and make the bed and just shift by about 2 feet. And that would be my office for the day. And I would be done and shift back. But I do think it's better, healthier to have a space where I can actually sit at a desk and feel like a business lady.
I think that's insanity. That rings true.
And I'm much better in the morning. I don't know how people write at night. I can't imagine it.
I don't either.
Yeah. That's when I watch my baking show. I couldn't do it. So I always try to start very early. And I just drink a bunch of coffee, like an irresponsible amount of coffee, and see what happens. And normally by noon, I've got, a couple thousand words, and I can sort through and find the good ones. And normally I'll revise in the afternoon.
So it's a full-time job, fair to say.
It is, yeah. Sometimes it's much more than a full-time job.
Sure.
But it's also, kind of what you were saying earlier, it's a pinch me thing that this is a job that I can do that seems so ridiculously catered to my personality, that I can spend all day long with the craft, but I don't have to, go out and sell it.
Yeah.
And I have just the right amount of people in my life as far as getting to correspond with authors and getting to collaborate. I feel very, very lucky.
Another thing I like about the book world is it moves in a slow and steady is a cumbersome, mundane way of putting it, but it's like things are happening all the time. It takes so long to write a book that you're not out there playing open mics to get attention, or what I'm trying to think of the musical equivalent. Everything is much quicker in that world. Maybe it's the songs are because they're 3 minutes long, so it only takes a day or 3 hours to write a song maybe. But with books, it takes so long, and there's this rhythm that things are happening, but it's all kind of slow and steady. I'm thinking of like your social exchanges with friends and prospective future clients. Those are coming. They're like, no one's texting you for that stuff. It's coming in a nice controlled way that you can look at when you're ready, your inbox or something. And that's just so, I think I'm starting to sound very old in this conversation, but I noticed that like I really enjoy email communication because it doesn't interrupt me. And I'm like instantly sort of annoyed when somebody texts me like out of the blue, "Hey Korby, I got this idea for this thing." I'm just like, God, I'm in the middle of a thing right now. And my phone you just bothered me. But I think that I'm the exception in this world.
I feel the same.
You do.
Yeah. And I will lose my phone in the day purposefully. Like that's it can't be there. I'm so weak. I love Instagram so much. I'm a relatively new Instagram user, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, so I can't be near it.
No, I think that's everybody. It's so poisonous. This is something I found. This is my little writing spot over here. Ooh, and it's always the same.
That's a good desk.
My happiest hours of my life are spent there. It's the first 3 hours of every day from 5:30 to 9 in the morning or whatever. And the best way I have found to stay away from the Instagram deal is, and this is not an original idea, but I used to use the timer on my phone and set it to, I would like go 25 minutes. This is still what I do. 25 minutes, 5-minute break. 5 minutes, who knows, that could be 15 minutes. The second the timer goes off and it's free time again, God, it's just drenching your attention back to the task at hand. It's so hard. So I just try to keep that 25 minutes sacred. And but the problem is with having it on your phone is that your phone is still doing the work, and then you can always be like, how much time do I have left? And then there's a notification or something, or like you sent me a text. And I'm like, okay, what did she say?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, who knows what's happening, and it's 25 minutes later and you wasted a whole bunch of time. It's so fragile that I have found that I bought there's that little red hockey puck on the desk there. And that is just like a just very simple primitive timer. It has one function, and all it does is like a dial. And I just dial in 25 minutes. The phone is in another room. Yeah. You know, and then I hit phone. And then, because writing is hard for me, not you. For me, writing is hard. And so I write a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, this could happen, or this could happen, or I don't like that sentence. And then that's pause. That's where you lose your attention. That's where you go to the phone, because we're just so quick now to any sort of just like, there's no such thing as waiting in modern life. It's a forgotten art. That it's that impulse. And so I find that having the absence of a phone in that critical moment, which happens for me 10 to 20 times in that 25-minute span, is where you start to train yourself to push through that hiccup, let's say. But I say that because Instagram is pure poison. It's incredible.
And it's the challenge that I see a lot, especially with my authors and with my fellow writers, is if you have one art, if you are a guy who has a podcast, then you also have your podcast's Instagram. You also have your podcast's Facebook page and your podcast's,
all of those things.
Yeah,
all of the various
it's so
things.
much content for a person to be responsible for. And I know that in my own case, that content suffers, and I hate to see that. So I'm hoping that will change a little bit, and that when I am working with other authors, I can help protect that a little bit.
Say that again. When the content suffers, so you're saying that the responsibility of maintaining a presence on the various platforms is significant demand on your time, and when you're neglecting it, the content suffers, and that you don't like to see that.
I don't like to see that. I don't like to see that.
Man, there's a part of me that looks forward to the time when I mature enough as a human being and have enough faith in I'm not exactly sure the merit of what I'm doing. It's a clumsy way of putting it, that I can just abandon social media wholesale and never look back. That day may or may not ever come, but I did successfully withdraw from the Twitter game.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years ago, after being a participant for 10 years and building it up, I never had a lot of people, but it was like 3,000 or something people. But
that seems like a lot of people to me.
It was a lot to me.
That's a lot of tweeting.
But I just didn't, I never tweeted. I didn't enjoy tweeting. I didn't enjoy being part of the thing. Yeah. And at some point I was just like, why do I feel compelled to participate in an environment that is hostile to like the very person that I am? Like, I don't like this snarky attitude. I don't feel compelled to have a little jab of my own, or bon mots have never been my forte, so it was just like I canceled it all. It felt so great. And then my last record I did, it got picked up by a label, and they did an evaluation of all my social media thing, and they were just like, why don't you have Twitter? Like, they were so annoyed. And they were just like, you just need to have a presence, because it's just like one more platform. And I was like, okay, I guess I will. And I did it for 2 weeks. And I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. The more that you participate in this world, the more it takes from everything else. It's a zero-sum game in life. It's so much time. And I have found that minimizing my participation in social media, I participate every day. I'm in there. I participate on pretty much Instagram if I do it at all. But I don't do it a lot, and I don't post all the time. And I also only post, I feel like I'm preaching right now, and I'm not trying to do that because who knows if I know what I'm talking about. Jury's out. But for me,
I think you're pretty credible.
Okay, far, so good.
So far, so good. I'm getting it. I'm nodding over here.
This is the thing that I notice is that like desperation there's nothing more repellent than desperation, and social media breeds it. And especially in the creative community where you feel overwhelmed, you feel like everybody's got a microphone. Where's my voice? I'm being drowned out. And you feel like, me too. And you raise your little hand, you take a selfie in your car or something like that just to feel like you're there. And it's like, that's not a good way to go.
No,
don't
it is not.
participate unless you have something to say. Be silent. Keep your life to yourself. It's so precious and wonderful to not share. And then when you do, you're like, okay, I'm going to let you in on this little thing that I'm choosing to share. And that's it. And I'm going to go back behind my closed door to the people that I love and love me and live my real life. And I find that I notice people that I feel kind of engage in social media that way as being people I'm sort of drawn to because I'm like, I don't feel like they're just bludgeoning me with another piece of their life to keep their content going. So anyway, we're all still learning how to do it, but not being desperate, I feel like, is really helpful in just everything in your life.
Yeah, I mean, being seen is overrated, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, by everyone. You know, it's you know, you want your people to see you clearly, but it doesn't matter if your strangers do.
Yeah, I mean, it does if you're trying to sell something, and I understand that because I am trying to sell something.
Yes, absolutely.
Bringing it back to the book thing and the slower motion, the slower rhythm. That's what maybe a better word of putting it is that when I was doing, there was a time in my life I was doing 150 shows a year, and the responsibility, the magnitude of content and reminding and raising your hand and, hey, I'm playing this show. And it was just like a daily thing. And I found that I just started like hating everything about it. I started hating myself a little bit for engaging in it so much and feeling like I had to because I was needing to bring people to and be like, no one's coming to the shows because you're posting anything. No, it's everything that happens successful in your life is happening from a long ways away. That's coming because you're building forward to it. And that means, I think if you're writing a book or you're writing a great song, write one great song and keep a straight job, and then get ready and then put that song out and go like, here is my song.
Yes.
This is it.
Amen.
And people will be like, damn, I haven't heard from him in 7 months. Like, what is this song?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just like, here's another one.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not. And then you're desperate. Like, anyway. So the whole, like with the book, the rhythm of the book world is conducive to my willingness to engage in social media. And the same thing with movies too. It's one thing I really like about this Morse Code project that I've been doing. It's been years, in the making, and there was not much about it except to my like existing fans. Like, here, I'm doing this, but publicly very little. And then when it was time to release it, it felt like I had something I really 100% believed in.
Yeah.
And it was very easy for me to share this, being like, this is special. I really believe in it. And, it's kind of, well, so far so good. That's why we're going to Sundance. I mean, it's exciting.
It is a big deal.
But it's like, it didn't happen because of a sense of feeling rushed or, I keep using the word desperate, but like it didn't happen with that. It was just like very slow and meticulous, and we made sure that the writing was great, and then we got the package together. And this is, it took so long, and it was not easy to wait and be patient like that. But and then once we shot it, it was like 9 months of just editing and re-editing and like just so slow and deliberate. But in hindsight, it's just like I don't ever want to do anything another way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's so important, just giving yourself time and not being in a rush. We're all in such a rush, and nothing happens if it,
Nothing happens good if it's in haste.
Yeah. I mean, there are no book emergencies, ever. There's never...
No,
they're not real. So,
yes.
Yeah, and I think we just all need to kind of let our art happen a little bit instead of trying to wrestle it to the ground. And I always, everyone is always in a rush to just get it out and just do it. But then, it comes out and a lot of times it's not gratifying.
Yeah.
Because they're exhausted.
Yeah. we're so tired. It's so easy to be exhausted and let this thing win, this machine that's completely antithetical to all traditional rhythms of human behavior. It's a very toxic time to be alive, I think, and for everybody, but the creative world is not, I don't think it's done a service to the creative enterprise, the social media thing. Anyway, I'm sounding like an old man again.
No, I love it. I'm also an old man, so.
Two old men.
Yes.
Just a couple of old men here talking. Well, so what's next? Okay, no, I don't want to know what's next yet. I want to know if maybe you've thought about this or maybe not, but like, what would be the golden gig for you? Like, are you working toward something, 5 years from now, what you'd like your life to look like creatively? Or is there just something out there you're like, if I could do this, it would be awesome? Just curious.
I think more and more, this is not a declaration yet. This is something I'm toying with. But at some point, I'd like to take a year off and write some great fiction.
Yeah.
And I'd like to take 6 months off and read, which is so important. I think that's probably where it's headed, is where I can get to a point where I'm going to say, I'm going to save some cash. I'm going to sit down and do something great, and maybe it will come out, and maybe it will be a book thing, but it will be, a story I'm telling for myself.
Yeah.
So
that's very exciting, and I applaud and hope that comes to pass, and I bet it will.
Thank you. I hope so. I
know it's so hard. Like, there's a kind of a subtext to our conversation so far, which is to say that you're writing, and I'm going to frame this as a question.
Sure.
Up to this point has been, as you said at the beginning, in service to others, and in a sense, what you're writing is. You're being compensated for it in advance, or along the way. So you're not like, oh shit, is this going to be anything at the end?
Yeah.
And I hear that, and that's so smart to be able to work it like that. And I also hear the other side of it. It's just this like, I would like to do something crazy. Yeah. And see if I can make something that sticks. I'm also reminded of, there's a long time ago I read this book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It was a huge book in the 70s. Maybe you've heard of the title. It's been long forgotten, but I found it. It's up there in the shelf somewhere. But he talks about the guy who wrote it. It's written in first person, and he's like a college professor. And I think it's like it's basically him in the book. But he fantasizes about these vacations that he takes when by himself. He just drives in his truck. He's got a little camper, and he drives up into the mountains with a stack of books, and his vacation is just to sit in the camper and read.
Oh yeah.
And the friend that he's
absolutely
confiding
I would do
in,
it.
It's like, why can't you just do that at home? He's like, are you joking me? Like, I got a family. There's a phone in the wall. Yeah. There's like endless amounts of distractions, and as a reading addict, that's the part that I said about writing every day it's all true, but the first half hour of every day is my favorite half hour. I mean, the cup of coffee, sitting there, and it's like I get to read for 30 minutes, whatever I'm reading, and it's just such a joy to have that quiet time. And there's like this is a riff a little bit, but I kind of am engaged in questions of the spiritual nature. I come from a long line of preachers, so I got this, it's in my blood a little bit. And there's part of me that feels like I should do devotions. I should like pray a little bit. And I do, sometimes I do it, but I don't really enjoy it. Like I like reading fiction.
I mean, that is a prayer.
That is a prayer. Can we call it a prayer?
Yes, we can call it a prayer. Of course you can. Absolutely.
Man, I think about this. I'm just like, I'm on the side of people. If somebody made me choose, are you on God's side or people's side? I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I'm on the side of the people. We have it so hard. We don't even know what we're doing here. We wake up every day and like,
it's very confusing.
It's very confusing to be alive. What is even going on if we pan back even a little bit?
I know.
It's just like so crazy. So everyone's got this little take on it, this little snippet, this little glimpse of the universe and our place in it. And I just like love knowing somebody else's perspective. It makes me terrible at causes. I like empathize with everybody. But anyway, that's a reading riff. But what are you, so you want to take a crack at writing something crazy on your own.
Yes.
And you do read.
I do.
What's something that you've read recently that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh, that's tough.
Anything. Or a long time ago. It doesn't even have to be recent. Just something that maybe made an impression. I just love talking about books.
Okay. Anyway. Saddle up, friend, because we could do this a while.
Here we go.
I would say my favorite book that I have a habit of buying, I've probably bought this book 40 or 50 times in my life, and I always give it away, is The Little Prince all day long.
Oh, yeah. A classic. Forever classic.
It's never boring to me. I'm weird about it at this point where like if someone will come to my house and I'm like, how long until I start talking about The Little Prince and they're a stranger. I just gave one to the president of our neighborhood association who I don't really know, and it was odd, but I love it. I mean, that's the goal, is like write a book that someone will buy so many times.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not one purchase. Find your evangelist.
He's made a lot of money off of it. Or his estate has.
Yes. And I noticed one of my favorite memoirs of all time that you have right here is the Andre Agassi one.
I loved that book.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's such a fascinating glimpse into like tennis, like modern day tennis, the industry of it, how it's experienced by the people doing it.
Yes.
Oh my God. There's an opening scene in that book that I don't even know if I can talk about it without crying, but it's like the opening scene is Agassi's talking about toward the end of his career, he has a showdown at the US Open, and it's the young kid coming up, and it's a slog battle. It goes 5 sets. It's just back and forth. They just, they beat each other to a pulp. They're worn, and he's broken at this point. He's like almost about to retire, and he finally ekes out a win. And God, it makes me emotional.
I know, I'm goosebumpy.
But they go backstage after it's all over, and they're sitting there in the dressing room together, and they're like laying on this bed together, and the highlights of the match come up, and they're watching themselves play just like moments ago, and he just like reaches his hand out, and the guy, like, the challenger reaches out, and they just like hold hands for a second in the room, and they're watching themselves, and like, we fucking did that, and I just like, God, I love people.
I know.
So good.
I know. I mean, it's, yes, people are the best. I also love tennis. You love it more a little bit. I thought I really loved the book. You love it more than me.
I don't even love it.
It's great. And it's also one of the most, I would say, if there's a famous ghostwriter client collaboration, it's Andre Agassi and his ghostwriter. And it's just, I read that and I'm like,
standard.
that's the one. Every time I work with an athlete, or a lot of times when I work with the man, because I'm not a man, even though I love male sweaters and I use lots of cedar scented products, I have a lot to learn about. So I read a lot of of memoirs of men, and I love it, and that's my fave. That's a really good one.
Nice.
I also love a trashy trash read.
Yeah.
My dad read like all these Dick Francis horse racing, drugstore books. And there's nothing more comforting to me than going to pick up one of those where, certain things are going to happen.
But
and you're
not just exactly that way as they happen.
Yes.
That's Louis L'Amour for me.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad, there's the sentimental thing for that too, because that's all he ever read.
Yes.
And, or reads. He's still alive. But yeah, the Louis L'Amour books, and there's something about the trash novels. They have a lot to teach you.
Yes.
As a writer, it's like, hey, these sell really well. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? I'm like, for some reason, at the last time I flew on a plane, this is a few weeks ago, I bought one of the Reacher novels.
Oh yeah.
And same thing. I'm like, I actually haven't finished it, and I don't know if I will. But I got a long ways through it. But that's not a strike against the genre, because like the Tom Clavel series, I think that's Bosch. Did he write Bosch? Made into a TV show.
Yeah.
But those books move so fast. They're so fun. So I ain't too proud. I'll read a lot of stuff.
Yeah. The pacing thing is definitely interesting with those books. Another thing I want to do at some point is I would like to write some trashy books. I would like to take maybe another year and write some like trashy Highland romance, which is a genre. It's a subgenre of romance. It's like tartan affairs and such.
What does tartan affairs mean? Tartan.
It's everyone is kilted. We are
like Scottish. Like,
yes.
I see.
Yes.
Highland. Okay.
Highland. Like Yes, Highland Games.
So you
Highland.
read with a brogue when you're...
I think the money's pretty bad in that game for the most part because a lot of them are ghostwritten. But I think I would do it anyway, and I think I would have a pen name.
For fun.
And for kicks.
Yeah, writing for joy.
Yes.
Who'd have thought?
Absolutely.
Have you read, I see this book, it just caught my eye, but Cloud Cuckoo Land by...
I have not read
Have you
it.
heard of it?
Yes, we own it. Buckley read it. That's a Buckley book for sure.
Oh, man. I thought it was so interesting and fun. And not a trash book. It's very, he's trying to say something. But it is a joy to read. And he wrote another book that I like. Oh, a much more famous book called All the Light You Cannot See, which is made into a Netflix show. And I haven't actually, it's on the shelf somewhere and I haven't read it yet. But I read that one and loved it. It's a book about books. It's a book about the power of a piece of literature across millennia, and it follows this one book and it's kind of part science fiction and part like historical fiction, and the through line being this one codex, which is what kind of the precursor to bound books. We call them codexes, and how it found its way through the ages. It's really,
so
really
cool.
fascinating. There's many characters in it, and
that is so cool.
it's just, the ambition of fiction is never ceases to amaze me, dazzle me with.
I know.
I don't think I'm a very good. I'm not a particularly imaginative person. I notice the things that speak most to me are close to what I would call like authentic human experiences, or just like, I like psychological novels, like Anna Karenina is like gold standard for me. But when I come across something that's like just wild, it's just, it's really fun to read.
Yeah. I mean, I really, really, I need to check out this bookshelf a little bit more before I leave, because you've got some great stuff. But I also lean really heavily towards just getting closer to people. I don't do a lot of dragons. And I'm really, I'm moved by making something ordinary just gorgeous.
Yes.
Like, ugh.
Have you heard of The All of It by Jeanette Hein?
I have not.
This is a very thin volume,
Okay.
and extraordinary book, and in that sense of just like human beings. Except it's got like a pretty crazy conceit in it that, but it's very readable, and it's written by a lady who wrote it in her 60s. She only wrote one book in her life.
Dang, that's cool.
And she was a professional pianist in Ireland.
Double cool.
Yeah, just a very unusual person wrote a very unusual book that's a very specific kind of story. It's an Irish story about a brother and a sister. Anne Patchett loves this book. It's famous because
that's enough for me.
Yeah, rave reviews. She's like always singing its praises. But that's one that I like give to people.
Yeah.
I just think it's so... I don't know, maybe read it sometime and then wonder why I give it to people, because it's like, what does this say about you that you're like, this is the one, this is my little prince that I give to people.
But that's the best. It's so great to do that, to have a book that you just can't help but want to talk about with, and just if I give a book to someone, I'm probably the worst person to get a book from, because I'm totally expecting you're going to read this book, like that you're going home from my house to read the book right now. Yeah. So I have to pump the brakes a little bit with that. Gosh, another great one I'm reading now is To Paradise. Did you read that?
No.
I forget the author's name, and I probably would mispronounce it, so I won't try to like conjure it. But it's beautiful. It takes place in New York, in Washington Square, in this one house, and follows characters. One is, I think, in the late 19th century. One is in the 80s during the AIDS crisis. And one is in the future, one family. And it's all about these different interpretations of what freedom is and what paradise is. And it's so beautiful.
Who wrote it? Do you know?
I don't. I mean, would mispronounce the name. I don't want to do that, because I would do it in a ridiculous way.
If you're watching on YouTube, we'll put it in the comments.
Yes.
Kyle research this for us.
Yes, I'll do it. It's my fault. I'll send it to you. It should be me.
Okay, so if people want to get, I know you're not, I was just realizing that like there might be people that be interested in working with you at some point in the future.
Ooh.
And if that were to be the case, they can easily find you, I think,
Yes.
on the internet.
Yeah. I have a website. It's not great. We're working on it.
I looked at it. It's great. It's fine.
Thank you.
I mean, it has your email address
Yes.
and what you do and some of the people that you've worked with.
Yes.
And some of the, I mean, you've had some pretty cool shout outs.
Yeah.
Cheryl Strayed.
Yes.
I wrote them down. You can tell me.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I remember.
Well, then I'll do it.
But there, it's never my story. I'm just there. I'm just
Sure.
helping.
But you're great at what you do, and as evidenced by Elizabeth Gilbert and Glennon Doyle, who somehow have been associated
Yes,
with works
some
that you've done.
projects.
I love Elizabeth Gilbert.
I love her so much.
Like to me, this is what I like. Like I like a really high-minded story told artfully in a way that's really easy to read.
Yes.
That is so hard to do, and I don't think anybody does it better than she does. Like Eat, Pray, Love. I mean, I guess I'm a fan of chick lit. I don't know, but that book was basically unputdownable.
It's still like to this day. I'll pick it up every year, and I'm like,
Just, I mean, and sometimes when I was reading it, I'm like, why is this so good? And I think that part of it's just the sense of personality, the sense of like, this lady, I can trust. This I just want to be around her. I want to hear what she has to say about this. I feel like she's not trying to put me on. I feel like she's a noble soul in her way, as best she understands it. I mean, this that goes a long way.
it does. Yeah. I mean, I love stuff that's accessible. I think that's a goal as well. Is accessible beauty and accessible insight, and inviting everyone to your book party.
Yes, invite everyone to your book
Yes.
party. Have something for everyone. Why don't you? One last thing is that lest you think that I only like women authors, which I like them a lot, but Carl
love that you like them.
Ove. Oh, I just like people. Anyway, I'm being redundant. Carl Ove Nosgard. Have you heard of him?
No.
That guy is a dude, and if ever
Okay.
there was one. In fact, people kind of hate him in some ways. But he wrote a book. He's Norwegian. I don't even think he speaks English. So I've obviously
Why
just
would
read it
he?
in translation. Why bother when you can speak?
Own it if you're Norwegian.
And he's like this, he kind of, I don't know, he's 6.5 feet tall. He's just this huge man. But he wrote a book, a series of books about a Norwegian author trying to write a novel. So he's wrote 6 novels about this guy trying to write a novel.
my
It's
goodness.
called My Struggle, and I think that's on purpose. And it is unputdownable. And the books they're all up there somewhere. I will read. I'm on the last book, and I read the 5th one probably last year, maybe the year before. I have to go so slow because I kind of don't want it to be done.
Yeah, you get book grief.
Yeah. I just am not ready to be done with this guy and his weird tale. And there's something I think about him a lot too, because it's like, I think they call it metafiction is sort of the genre that's been ascribed to him, because it's not quite memoir, but it's very, he uses his family's names in it. It's very like a guy like talking about his own life.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's you could think of it like really indulgent, and I think admittedly is, but it's so honest in a way, and like dude does not pull any punches even on himself, like terrible things he did, but it's not like in a boastful swaggering way. It's just kind of like, I was trying, this is kind of why, but I don't, anyway, that's a rave review for, I don't know, for a certain kind of person. You're working all the time. You're raising family. We didn't even get into that. This was just about you and your professional life. That's probably just as well. But thank you so much for talking to me and putting up with whatever.
Thank you for letting me come to your studio. It's beautiful.
We're having a great time here. And let's do something again off the clock. Maybe we can have dinner couples or something
I would
like that.
love that.
We would love that too.
Yay.
So I'll look forward to that.
I'll bring you a pie.
I can't wait. Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring the songs of the Morse Code Podcast. Okay, thank you very much.